Raider Nation, what's going on? Coming up here on today's show, I got some interesting Raiders roster rumors from Vincent Bonsignore. The title of his article was Raiders 53-man roster projection. What changed after the preseason opener? Today, I'm going to be reacting to the most interesting rumors/notes that Vinny B had to put out. And if you don't know, Vinny B is an NFL beat reporter for the Las Vegas Raiders. Before I get into all this, though, today's show sponsored by Panda Supps. If you spend over $99 at pandasupps.com and you use code Raiders, not only are you going to get 20% off, we're also going to throw in some free shipping. If you spend over $125 at Panda Supps, I'm going to throw in some free creatine. $125, free creatine, free shipping if you live in the United States. Shout out to Panda for hooking up Raider Nation. Let's go to the first rumor here. I should also mention that I have this broken up on the offensive side of the football and on the defensive side of the football. Earlier this offseason, Pete Carroll kind of threw out this, we're going to go with the hot hand approach. He even threw out the word kind of like running back by committee. Today, Vincent Bonsignore was talking about Ashton Jeanty being a workhorse. And you know what? He's going to be the workhorse. This is for Just Win, babies. Believe it, baby. And Jeanty is clearly the top running back on this team. He's going to be used in passing and running situations, and you're already seeing how much the Raiders are trying to just implement this guy. Quite frankly, the biggest thing, and I think the only thing, that will hold back Jeanty from being a true fantasy football winner, from being somebody that goes out there and puts up 1,500 total yards, 10 touchdowns, is going to be this Raiders offensive line. I project 300-plus touches for Jeanty because I'm telling y'all, if you don't put the ball in this guy's hands and you drafted him at number 6 for how talented he is, what are we doing as an offensive team? What are we doing, Chip Kelly? What are we doing, Pete? What are we doing, Las Vegas Raiders? Here's what Vinny B had to say on the Raiders running back room. Jeanty, the number 6 overall pick in April's draft, will be the Raiders' workhorse this season. The question is, who gets the carries behind him? And you know what? I don't know if it's going to be Zamir White. I don't know if it's going to be Raheem Mostert, but quite frankly, all I care about is how many touches Ashton Jeanty is going to get up this upcoming season. And it's going to be the pinned comment here. So you're about to get it with the YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer. My answer coming up here in just a moment. I'm going to go with a rounded out number, but to me, if you're the silver and black and you're a team that's going to predicate yourself on being a physical football team and using arguably the best player on your offense, Brock Bowers is still the best player. Jeanty's, though, going to be the focal point. I want 20 touches a game from him. Even if that's 17 carries and then 3 catches or vice versa, that comes out to about 340 touches. And if you're going, man, 340 touches, Mitch, seems like a lot. If you look at the most rookie touches since 2010, I just wanted to do since 2010 because you go back and you look at some years where some rookies were getting 470 touches. Again, that's many, many years ago. But in the past, we'll call it 15 years, here are the top 5 running backs in terms of touches as a rookie. Najee Harris had the most at 398. Doug Martin, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Alfred Morris. To me, though, I would say that Ashton Jeanty, way more talented than Najee. More talented than Doug Martin, though they both went to Boise. I would put Jeanty in that Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley. Now, Barkley's a better pass catcher, but in terms of running between the tackles, I think Jeanty and Zeke are very, very similar when they were first coming out. So because of that, I'm just going to sit up here and go, I expect 340 touches, and I expect Ashton Jeanty to be somebody that really dominates on the ground and to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Let's go to the next rumor here from Vinny B. The Silver and Black will be keeping Tommy Mellott over Alex Bachman. And I've done some recent 53-man roster videos where I have kept Bachman. But are they going to end up keeping Mellott over Bachman? That's what Vinny B ends up thinking here. The Raiders will have to decide whether to keep Bachman or Mellott. Bachman, 29, is further along right now, but Mellott, a rookie 6th-round pick, is a good athlete with a lot of potential. He just requires patience as he transitions from college quarterback to NFL wide receiver. Mellott may have too much upside to risk exposing him to waivers, and I agree with this, which is why I am going to give this 2 just win babies. And I'm going to say that it's a coin flip right now, that the Raiders keep Mellott over Alex Bachman. To me, though, I do think that Bachman ends up making the squad, and I think that the Raiders are going to end up keeping Tommy Mellott because Mellott is clearly, and I mean clearly, on the bottom of this depth chart. I don't even think he's a top 60. I don't even know if he's a top 70 player on the roster right now. The reason why you would keep him, though, is to help him get better, help coach him up, and get better and better in the next 2-3 years, and hopefully he's a reliable slot receiver. Bachman is ready right now, and this is a team where they've told you, Pete Carroll's told you, they want to win right now. Keeping Bachman helps you win right now, and he offers you more in special teams. I know they draft him a lot in the 6th round, but he has really struggled this offseason. He does have some high upside. If it was up to me, I would keep both of them, and I think that's ultimately what the Raiders are going to end up doing here. But if they have to keep only 5, then I will keep Mellott over Bachman because of the upside and because of the upside only. Speaking of upside, I think there's a lot of upside to every single one of y'all tuning into our Raiders up against 49ers watch party. Why? Well, there's a chance we're going to give away a jersey, but there is a 100% chance that we're going to give away Raiders tickets. Not to the 49ers game, to a regular season game. And you better be subscribed. You better have those notifications turned on. I'm not going to tell you which game it is, but I guarantee you this, you're going to want to go to that game. And if you haven't already subscribed, help us take down the 49ers Report. This is our 3rd biggest channel here at Chat Sports based on subs. The Raiders Report is the 2nd biggest channel here at Chat Sports based on subs. You know what, though? I know we have a lead. I don't give a shit if we have a lead. If there's one team that's not in the AFC West that I want to just absolutely put the nail in the coffin to, it's the San Francisco 49ers. One of my best friends here at Chat Sports, Chase Sr., him and I have been talking a lot of smack. I want y'all to pull up because if you hate the Niners, we're going to go balls to the wall on Saturday, so make sure you're subscribed. Let's go to the next one here, and it's the Raiders. They need to sign an offensive lineman, and I could not agree with this statement more. I am terrified of the Raiders' offensive line, but Vinny doesn't quite think that, and that's a little bit concerning to me. Here's what Vinny has to say. The Raiders are still sorting out their starting 5, but Meredith and Powers Johnson are the favorites to start at center and right guard. Respectfully, Cappa and Munford will provide depth, while rookie 3rd-round picks Rodgers and Grant will use the season to develop. So let's just think about that statement there. Vincent Bonsignore is telling you that Alex Cappa and Thayer Munford are the backups, the options. And I actually think that it would be Cappa would be slotted in at either guard position, or maybe they would just put him in at right guard and you would move over maybe JPJ depending on an injury. But I think the first guard off the bench is Alex Cappa. The first tackle off the bench is Thayer Munford because, again, Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant are developmental pieces that the Raiders don't want to throw out there right away. But I'll say this right now. If Thayer Munford and Alex Cappa are our first 2 players off the line, that is a disaster. Thayer Munford's not good enough to make this roster. Alex Cappa's not healthy right now, and he was the worst offensive lineman in the National Football League last season. And what I'm really kind of frustrated with is we had a need, okay? We knew, you knew, I knew, the Raiders had a need on offensive guard. And instead of going out there and addressing that need in free agency, instead of going out and addressing that need in the draft, the Raiders told me, we got Alex Cappa, and they tried to slap a Band-Aid on it. I was not crazy about the Caleb Rogers pick in round 3. I like the Charles Grant pick because I think he's a developmental player at offensive tackle. But how can you draft Ashton Jeanty at number 6 and then have all these question marks around the interior offensive line? It just drives me up a flipping wall because we've been doing smart things all offseason. That's something that I think that we have honestly really kind of failed at. So if I'm the Raiders, I got to pick up the phone, and I'm making some phone calls. The number 1 player I'm going to pick up the phone and call, Dalton Risner. And I can make the argument that Brandon Scherff is a better offensive lineman than Risner. I actually don't think it's that crazy to say. Scherff has been healthier. Scherff has been better. But I do think Scherff's going to cost you significant more compared to a guy like Dalton Risner. But to me, you got to call one of these 2 guys. If neither is interested, I think calling Shaq Mason, I think calling Mark Glowinski. Again, they're not great names, but these are names that I have more confidence in than I do Alex Cappa. And I definitely have more confidence in both those guys than I do Thayer Munford. I do not want to see Thayer Munford out on the football field. And if that's what Vincent Bonsignore is saying is our backup plan, we need a better backup plan. So if you agree with this statement, that the Raiders had all offseason to address their offensive guard spots, and they didn't make it a priority, if that frustrates you, hit that like button. The Raiders, they drafted Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall. You can't waste that pick due to a bad interior offensive line play. If you agree with that, hit that like button. I feel like the Raiders right now are using Jackson Powers-Johnson, a player that everybody that follows this team goes, why is he not at center? And I think right now the Raiders are going, oh, shit, man, I think our right guard spot is a shithole because of the players that we tried to put over there with Alex Cappa, and now you're messing up the chemistry of this offensive line. You're taking confidence away from a player that clearly wanted to be the center on this team. I am very frustrated by the way Brennan Carroll, by the way this entire offensive line has been treated, because it doesn't matter if you have Geno. It doesn't matter if you have Brock Bowers, Ashton Jeanty, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Dante Thornton, Jack Besh. If you can't freaking block and you can't win in the trenches, we're not going to win a lot of football games. So we got to figure out this offensive line. And I don't want to waste away JPJ because y'all failed to address the need this offseason. Coming up next here on the show, let's get into the Raiders rumors here on the defensive side of the football, because I am more concerned about the defense than I am the offense. And when you look at this article that Vinny B put out, I think a lot of y'all are going to agree with that statement. Now, I will say, I'm trying to calm down a little bit, but you know what? Right before this show, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I took a scoop of the new Tropic from Panda Sups, and I am freaking wired, man. I'm ready to go. And you know what? If you ever have that crash, like right around the middle of the day where it's kind of like 2, 3, 4 after lunch, and you need to just get the juice pumping again, take a scoop of that new Tropic. It's going to wake up your brain, and I absolutely love it. It's going to help your energy. It's going to help your memory. It's going to help you focus on the task at hand. If you're a gamer, if you're a student, new Tropics, I'm telling you, it's going to be life-changing. If you want to get your hands on this protein, I think protein is probably the best way to get started in defining what workout supplements work for you. Because, again, if you're going to go to the gym, you're going to work out, you might as well get the most out of that workout. I use BCAAs every single day from Panda. I use protein every single day from Panda Subs. But also, they have a lot of other amazing products from pre-workout. They have greens if you need some greens. If you're looking for athletic apparel, they have athletic apparel. But the bottom line is I want you to find what works for you, and there's only one way to do it. You got to test out some different stuff. Luckily, Panda Sups is owned and operated by a Raiders fan, and he throws in stuff all the time just for free. Like the other day, I had a Raiders fan send me a photo on Instagram. They're like, hey, I randomly ordered some Panda Sup stuff, and he threw in, there was like the little packets of protein. That's awesome. Why? Because if you're like me, before I buy something, I want to make sure that I like it. And for Panda Sups, I've been using it for 4 or 5+ years, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm in great shape, but for the amount that y'all make me get crazy and drink on this show, I think I'm in a pretty halfway decent shape, and it's because I take care of myself by using the right supplements to help make sure that I wake up every single morning getting off to the right start. That when I get done with my workout, I get the most out of that workout. If you spend over $99, free shipping. If you spend over $125, you're going to get free creatine and free shipping at pandasups.com, code Raiders. That link is in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's go to the defensive side of the football now, and let's look at some of these rumors. Vincent Bonsignore says that the defensive line isn't a need right now, that we do not need to address this position. In fact, here's exactly what he said. The Raiders have done a good job building depth here, but they need some young players like Tyree Wilson, I believe that's Thomas Booker, and rookies Tonka Hemingway and J.J. Pegues to be consistent contributors. Several of the players who get cut should return on the practice squad. So my statement is the defensive line isn't a need. This is fake news. This is tuck rule, tuck that. I'm sorry. I think Vinny B is a good beat reporter. But this is why I want people to subscribe to the Raiders Report, because Vinny's a Rams fan. And Vinny, I don't think, actually follows the team in terms of like the bottom of the roster guys. Because I'm sorry, if you're saying that this defensive line for the Raiders has a lot of depth, I'll just say that's a lack of ball knowledge. And that's not a gut punch to Vinny. It's just me trying to be as honest as I possibly can, because I don't want Raider fans to see him saying that and go, well, we're fine at the defensive line. I'm going to be honest with you. I totally disagree with that. I think our defensive tackle, our defensive line on the Raiders right now is the biggest need, because I'm a trenches guy. If you're going to build a defense that is just predicated on guys who are really good at stopping the run, guys who are really good at being able to get close to the box, but our free safety, it's a question mark. A lot of young corners. Secondary right now is a question mark, and that's a fact. And if that's going to be the truth of, we got a lot of question marks on our secondary, you need to dominate in the trenches. You need to dominate on that defensive line. And we lost Christian Wilkins. We lost probably Leki Fotu, who's in a boot, somebody who was filling in for Christian. Like, I'm sorry, but our defensive line, defensive tackle room is one of the worst in the National Football League. And Max Crosby is unbelievable. And I want Max Crosby to turn into this player that is the best player in the league. If you want him to reach his ultimate high, you need all these other players to step up. I'm not saying it's impossible. Y'all know how much I love Rob Leonard, and the Raiders right now are really, I think, putting a lot of trust into Rob Leonard. Clearly they are. But to say that our defensive line is good, I think it's a crazy, crazy statement to make. Quite frankly, here are 5 defensive linemen that I would go out and I would target. I think at the end of the day, like people are always like, oh, Mitch, you think everybody is still in their prime. I don't think any of these players are still in their prime. But do I think Jadeveon Clowney is good enough to be a starter on this team? Yes, I do. Do I think Za'Darius Smith is good enough to be a starter on this team? Yes, I do. Do I think Matt Judon, Quinton Jefferson, William Golston, do I think that they're good enough to be starters on this team? No, I do not. Do I think that they're good enough to make our 53-man roster? Yes, I flip and do. So if I feel like that these guys are good enough to be a part of this team and they have coaching connections on this squad, I'm all for getting some of these players some extra reps in the preseason. But to say that our defensive line has got a lot of depth, I think it's just a lack of ball knowledge around this team. Let's go to the next story here. In terms of interesting rumors, Matt Jones. Is he going to end up making the roster? I think Matt Jones is a really interesting player, and Vinny B had some interesting things to say about him in terms of this linebacker room. The Raiders' top 4 linebackers, Roberts, White, Pratt, and Adams, are all on one-year contracts, but the team likes Eichenberg and Lindenberg's upside. Keep an eye on Jones, an undrafted free agent who has looked good in camp. In terms of him making the roster, I'm going to give this one just win, baby, and I'm going to say that it's probably unlikely, but it's not impossible. He did play 26 snaps against the Seattle Seahawks, and only Michael Barrett and Cody Lindenberg had more linebacker snaps, so I know that this is a player that they are going to keep their eye on. I'll say this, it does look like Amari Gainer's on the outside looking in, which is frustrating to me because the linebackers that the Raiders have, none of them are all that good at covering. And I think if the one thing that Gainer is good at is being able to cover. And I liked what I saw from Matt Jones in that preseason game against Seattle if you don't look at anything he did in the coverage game. Like, if you look at just him being a downhill runner, being like a run stopper, that's where Matt Jones is good at. But we already have so many linebackers like that. In coverage, he got picked on left and right. And, I mean, he was probably the worst linebacker we had in terms of coverage. And that might take a little bit of time. But at the end of the day, if we're going to keep that linebacker, I'd rather keep a coverage guy. No disrespect to Mac Jones, I would keep Amari Gainer over Matt Jones. Coming up next here, though, the final big rumor from Vincent Bonsignore. And before I get into that one, I always want to try to keep people up to date. I always want to try to keep people, honestly, in the loop of everything that I do around here. So I'm recording this right now when I'm live, and I appreciate everyone that is already here. We have over 600 people here in the building. I'm also going to be live on Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Who knows? We might even give away a Raiders ticket that day. One day I'm definitely going to be giving away a Raiders ticket. Saturday, pull up. We're going live 2 hours before kickoff. If you're not there, you're square. And I don't see any SpongeBob SquarePants around here. Let's go to the final one here, and it's going to be Darnay Holmes, a lock to make the roster. I have heard a lot of different things about Darnay Holmes, but I have yet to hear somebody call him a lock until Vinny did. Porter, a rookie third-round pick, seems to be pulling ahead of Richardson in their battle for a starting role. Holmes seems like a lock to play in the slot. The room feels thin, so don't be surprised if the Raiders look to add a corner at some point. I do know that Darnay Holmes is a player that's got a coaching connection to Patrick Graham, but I think calling Holmes a lock is kind of a crazy statement to make. I do have him featured in my 53-man roster, but I'm only going to put it as 2 just win babies. And I think it's a coin flip of whether or not he ends up making this team because he is battling Greedy Vance and Kyu Blu Kelly. And the day that I'm recording this video, which is, again, on Tuesday, Kyu Blu Kelly was getting some work at the 1. Now, he was getting work as the 1 as the outside corner, but one of the statements that I made was I almost wonder if the Raiders were like, you know what? We know what we have in Darnay Holmes, and it's, If we kept Greedy Vance, could he translate into a player and look like a guy like Isaiah Paul-Lamau now, who was a UDFA and got better and better? And then you got Kyu Blu, where if you're looking for a coin flip tiebreaker, could you just keep Kyu Blu Kelly because he could play outside and he could play inside? And for the Raiders, they're using safeties a lot in that nickel position. Like, they're using Jeremy Chin in the nickel. They're using Isaiah Paul-Lamau in the nickel. They are using their safeties like Thomas Harper in the nickel. So I think saying that Darnay Holmes is a lock, I don't know if Vinny's hearing stuff that he's like also just not reporting on. But when I saw the statement Darnay Holmes was a lock, I think I'm not the only one that when you see that statement, you're like, I don't know if that's true. Do I think he ends up making the roster? Probably. Calling him a lock to make the roster, though, that seems a little bit far-fetched to me. Before I get out of here one more time, seriously, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to take down the 49ers channel, and I want to not only do it by a little bit. Like, think of it in a score. I want to beat the 49ers report, and I want the Raiders to take care of business against the Niners. I want it to be a game like when the Raiders beat the Chargers 63-21. I want to be jumping around. I want to be freaking out. So I hope that you guys get ready to pull up because they might scream bang, bang, Niner gang. We're going to be screaming some different kind of bangs because this is going to be a crazy party on the Raiders Report.